Sunrise, November 15th, 1994. This is opening day of Michigan's firearm deer season. The conditions are pretty darn good. We'd like to have snow, but we don't. It's a cool, crisp morning, about 40 degrees. We have quite a show planned for you. Well, I'll tell you about that in a minute. You stay tuned. I'm Fred Trost. You're watching The Practical Sportsman. Next half hour, we're going to give you a little different twist on The Practical Sportsman. We have to be practical about how we get this show on the air because it's Tuesday morning right now. Tomorrow, we'll be able to hunt in the morning, possibly, and get down to the buck pole at Mill Creek Sports in Dexter. See some big bucks, hopefully. I mean, we always do. And then Thursday, this show's going to be on the air. Doesn't give us a lot of time to put it together, so we're going to give you a chronological sequence of what's happening. When I say we, I'm talking about John Ford and I. He's behind the camera right now, but you're going to see him in a little bit. We're going to trade off giving you reports of what's going on and how we're going about this particular opening day hunt. It is now 8 a.m. and throughout this show, we're going to give you updates and reports that each time we'll give you some rationale for what we're doing and why. Now, the big concern between 7 and 8 a.m., and the reason we want to get out here in the blind before daylight, a half hour or an hour even before daylight when it's dark, is because the first hour of daylight is far and away the best hour, at least for trophy bucks. Now, I analyzed last year's 1993 hunting awards data. Now, these are the trophy deer. This isn't the average deer, but the trophy bucks. Looking at the chart between 7 and 8 a.m., look at the number of deer that we're taking. Far and away the most productive hour of the season. The second most productive hour was between 8 and 9, then 9 and 10, but bottomed out there throughout lunchtime and after lunch. Now, at the end of the day, we often think of deer hunting being as really good at the end of the day, possibly better than the morning. Not so on opening day, at least for trophy bucks. It comes up in the evening, up until 5 o'clock, but not anything like it does in the morning. Now, the second day of the season, that's the one where hunters feel, wow, this is almost as good as opening day. That's not what the data shows for trophy bucks. The second day of the season is rather flat from dawn until dark. Well, it comes up at both ends of the day a little bit, but not like opening day. Then we'll take the other 14 days of the season. That's November 17th through the 30th. Now, that is comparable to opening day, really. Those 14 days, the number of trophy bucks that are taken are comparable. And the interesting thing is as we go through the season, the hunting seems to get better in the evenings rather than in the mornings. It might be because hunters tend to go out after work. But the important thing about this is that opening morning, the opening hour, is the best, and the few hours after that. So that's why we're here early, and that's why we're a little bit disappointed that we haven't seen deer in the first hour. But it's been a funny year, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later. The warm weather we've had coming into this deer season is highly unusual, and it's thrown a lot of hunters as to figuring out what the deer are doing in their mating activity. It's not a normal year. But that's the 8 o'clock report. There's still a lot of good hours left. Now, another thing to remember, just because most of the bucks were taken in that first hour, no reason to get bummed out, because there are bucks taken every day, trophy bucks throughout the season, and a hunter only needs one. We don't need 32 like we're in the opening hour. We only need one, and that can happen anytime. We need two.
Well, Fred, it's about 11:30, and I'm pretty sure I let you down today.
No.
Yep. I can't understand it. We haven't seen a single deer. And Paul and I looked at a map of this property yesterday, and he showed me all the hot spots on his property. It's an aerial map, and all the really good spots are marked with red pins. And this was one of our babies right here.
I think that we're going to have a lot of activity in the Van Road blind, the Lost Gun blind, the Far West blind, In the past 3 weeks, we've seen a big buck down by the river. Marty and Jim saw him opening day of duck season, and some fellows were in a canoe yesterday, and they said we saw a monster buck just around the corner. So I think we have some really good chances tomorrow. Perfect. We all set?
We're all set. So this is one of them?
Yes. This is again. I think this is one of the hotter ones. Hey John, we're at the van blind. As you can see, it's out about 125 yards.
Okay.
And we just look at this big rub. A little bigger. Here's another one over here. This one's shredded.
Oh yeah.
Well, here's some activity, John. We have a scrape. You see this little licking branch, but he's had his antlers in here. He's broken off some branches. And as you can see, if you turn right around, we're basically due west of the blind.
Well, this looks really good.
Here's another one, John. This one's been worked over, and now we have an apparent line, and it's directly due west of your blind. If you turn around about 100 yards to the east, you can see your blind.
Okay,
and
yeah,
tomorrow, when this fellow walks out underneath that apple tree, you'll get a real good look at him.
I'll make sure I'll wake up Fred. Back in here, there's a whole line of rubs that extends about 100 yards back and comes right up to the field edge. And it just looked perfect. We looked at another blind, which was the Van Road blind, and that sign was even better. But it was so open, and there's a road that runs by it, and we just thought it'd be a little bit better for videotaping if we chose something that looked a little more scenic. And the third blind is the Lost Gun blind, and that's sort of Paul's baby. And he's taken all kinds of deer out of that blind. It looked good, but it didn't have any kind of sign really around it except for 1 or 2 rubs that we found, that Paul found. So I felt this would be the best taping right here. But we haven't seen a thing. We've got a couple more chances at it, but right now I think I'd like to go back and take a look and see what everybody else has done. So what's the report?
Gentlemen?
We saw them.
There are bucks out there.
Definitely there.
What's the story, Larry?
Well, I had one about 60 feet away, and he kept looking at me, and I couldn't move, and I couldn't get my gun up on him, and finally saw a little movement, and he took off.
How big was
a deer? 8 point.
How far away was he?
Oh, 60 feet.
60 feet?
Yeah, it was close.
So you were eye to eye and you couldn't,
Oh yeah, he
couldn't bring your
He
gun
didn't
up?
scent me. He knew I was there, but he couldn't. He finally got a little noise, and then he took off. But he'll be back.
Now, Luke, we almost hunted your blind.
Well,
it wasn't this close.
Yeah.
Because that's where all the scrapes were. And
Yeah.
And what did you see?
Nothing till about 10:30. Then it had to be at least an 8 point, I think. And it was a big rack, but it was downwind for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I never really got a good shot at him. It was moving across the field pretty quickly, then winded me, and then it started running away from me. So maybe if I was a little more experienced hunter, I might have got him, but I didn't ever get a good crosshair on my scope to pull the triggers.
You're wearing a sad face.
He was a very nice buck. He really was. But it was so early that I could hardly see him and hardly tell that he had horns. But he definitely did have, and he was probably 75 yards away, something like that, and gave me a very nice opportunity at which I missed. And,
You missed?
He ran, he's gone, and I spent a lot of time looking. I'm quite convinced that I did not hit him at all. So,
Okay.
so I think he's alive and well, and hopefully I'll get another opportunity at him.
Marty?
I hunted south of the river, and right after sunup, I had a doe come in, followed right by a little spike, and let the spike horn go.
As last year opened, 5 to 8, a doe came running out of the high ground towards the swamp. Right behind her came another one. Right behind her came another one. I thought for sure it was going to be deja vu, like last year. And I opened the window, threw the gun down, but no buck. But it was a nice morning. I heard a couple gunshots. They were hoping, I was hoping to do one of these guys.
They got one.
Well, Fred, I feel a little bit better now. I thought for sure.
You guys are the only ones, huh?
Fred left it up to me this year, and I thought I put the kibosh on the whole thing.
Not a thing, but a beautiful day. Well, here we are at the close of opening day 1994. For the first time in history, we got skunked. Now, I don't mean just not getting a buck or getting a deer, but not seeing any deer. What are the explanations for this? Well, this is something we've been talking about all day long in the blind. We've talked with other hunters about. I think it's a bit premature at this moment to put together all the possible reasons. We're going to pause for a moment here and roll by some of the reasons we've discovered just before we put this on the air. I think many hunters are going to have a top 10 list of why they didn't get a buck or see deer on this opening day. There's a lot of variables involved in many places around the state. But there's one thing that we didn't mention in this top 10 list, which is right above me. Many hunters have maintained over the years that deer move at night when there's a full moon. They don't move as much during the day. That could very well be true. It's just like the good old days. It is. You know why it's like the good old days? 2 days of hunting and 1 deer? Huh? That's the good old days. Hey, this is a great buck too. We'll give it 10 points.
Okay.
We'll count all of those, and that one, I say that was shot off. That's my...
This is a tough farm. I think he was fighting.
You think he was fighting?
Yeah, these guys are tough.
It could be. Well, you got this one, Marty.
Yeah.
And this was supposedly the buck that Larry told us about yesterday.
Larry said he saw this yesterday, and I believe him. He looks about the same size. And Larry, I apologize, but
No, you don't. No, you don't.
Larry had other stuff to do this morning, and this guy came out around 9 o'clock. He was preceded by a nice spike and about 6 or 8 doe. And doe came running through the field, and not more than 5 seconds later, he came through.
But you were hunting what's called a river blind down there, tight quarters,
real tight,
sort of swampy.
real tight shooting lane, probably a 35, 40-yard shot, but a very tight shot. And
Blind does not have a roof on it?
there is a roof on this blind, but
Well, so what's the deal about the difficulty of getting the gun up?
well, see, that's where I learned from Larry. Larry yesterday when he saw this, Larry had a hard time because he had his gun down, he had to get it up. Well,
The deer would look away down the trail and then turn and look at me, and I kept bringing the gun up, and then I'd freeze, and the deer would look away, and it took about 5 minutes, and finally got the gun almost up, and he saw the barrel and gone, but it was pretty exciting.
since I got in at 6 till 9, I had the rifle mounted for 3 hours, just waiting, shooting down the lane there. And sure enough, for like around 9 o'clock, he came through, cleared one of the trees. I popped him, got him right where I wanted to get him. He kicked up, ran into the woods about 50 yards. I followed the blood trail and found him there.
You got it. Hey,
Yeah, got it.
outstanding. This is your second buck.
Second in 3 years, yeah. So
The first year you were a photographer?
The first year I came out, I was a photographer. I just took photos, and then the second year I came out, I took a gun out and got a nice buck then. And then, yeah, real nice.
Wall hanger.
It's on the wall. He's on the wall. Yeah.
So, Paul, how does this season stack up? This isn't one of the best.
Oh, I think
as far as bucks on the pole.
Not well. The Bucks are winning this year, but one's paid the price. We've had a great time, good party, great ending for a couple of. Really, it's not over yet. We'll hunt tonight.
But what is the deal? Do you think it's the full moon? What do you think?
Well, the deer aren't moving the way they should. It could be the full moon. That concept. Easier foraging at night. It's been warm.
I mean, you and John went out to the blind this morning where does are guaranteed. I mean, that's a given.
Right. And
What happened to your guarantee?
we only saw a buck.
But it was too early.
It was too. You're right. It was a little too early, and the does weren't moving. Although as we were leaving, John saw a couple heading for the high ground, lickety
Off in the
split.
distance. Huh.
But we don't. You had. Odd thing about it, a lot of the does were down in the swamp.
They
Yeah.
came from the river. I could hear them just before daylight. You could hear them crossing the river and coming through. Of course, you couldn't see anything, but that's where they came from. And again, that's where he came from
So
that
they seem to be in
direction.
the thick stuff rather than out
Right,
in the field.
down in the they're centered in the swamp, the wetlands.
Yeah.
Well, it was a great time, Paul.
Great time.
Great
Thanks
time.
for
I want to
coming.
thank you for giving us the primo blinds because really,
right.
it was
Good.
very peaceful and we weren't interrupted.
Oh, get a little sleep. you
Didn't
know.
have to do any field dressing and all that monkeying
That
around.
boring, messy,
It is messy.
tedious chores.
Yeah, well, it was great. It was great. And this is a success of a hunter. Second buck in 3 years of hunting.
Yeah.
Next year might even be bigger.
I hope so.
Here we are at the buck pole at Mill Creek down in Dexter. A huge crowd. How many people you got here tonight, Ray?
Holy smokes, I couldn't even begin to tell you. Uncountable.
You don't count the people.
I can't possibly do it. Can't
Okay.
count that high.
But how many bucks did you hang so far the first 2 days?
You know what? I think yesterday we had about 25 on the pole, and today I think roughly we got maybe about 35.
That's all?
That's all, yeah. It looks
I mean,
pretty full up
looks,
there, I
It
guess.
looks like
but
hundreds of them. Seriously. That's only 35? I think you're counting wrong. 37.
37. See, someone counted.
Yeah, but these are not your average bucks.
No, that would be true. Some of them are oversized.
Other people have said who have come here from other buck poles, they said this is a different league.
Yeah, I think that's right. This is the major leagues here.
Well, since I think we put out the publicity that we're having this on television, some of the people with the smaller racks are a little intimidated.
Yeah,
They come here.
that's true, and that's too bad because we like to see them all up on the buck pole, no matter what size they are. They're all excellent harvests.
This is like 8 points and up club.
Yeah, unfortunately, you're right. I mean, we don't want to have anybody intimidated with a smaller buck and not come in. We love to see them all.
Yeah, but look at the crowd that the big ones draw.
That's true.
On the other side of the coin.
Yeah, that's true.
Now, how does this compare with previous years? What's your feeling of the season? Our experience up in Emmett County, it was very slow. I read in the newspaper, it was great. What do you think?
I don't know. To me, it seemed a little off, but yet the first night, like I say, I think we had a few more hanging than like last year. But I miss the snow. I think that gets them moving around a little more.
That's what I thought. We're going to talk to some of the hunters in a little bit to find out what they thought the reasons were that they were successful or unsuccessful. Of course, you've done a couple things this year, though. We did up certificates to give to the people on the buck pole.
Great
That was
idea.
A little different twist. And you also had T-shirts done, which I think you can thank the Nuge for this.
Is that right? Is that it?
Ted
Somebody told me-
Nugent. Ted Nugent lives. You whack 'em, we rack 'em.
Somebody told me I stole that saying from him. I feel bad
No,
about
no,
that.
he hasn't used this saying.
Oh, is that right?
No,
Okay.
That particular twist on it. No, that's terrific. Well, here we are at Mill Creek, and then we're going to talk to some of the hunters and find out what their success stories were.
Good, good. Small 8 point.
A small 8-point. How do you like this? Which one is it?
It's on the backside over there.
On the backside, a small 8-point. Not very many buck poles you hear that. What's yours?
10 point, 170 pounds dressed.
Is it on this side or on the
Way
other
in the
side?
back.
Way in the
They're
back.
hiding it.
They're hiding it. Anybody have one over here? This 10? Look at the
Deer
size.
I've ever shot at in my life. It's my first deer ever.
Is that right? How long you been hunting?
Been hunting for 5 years.
Okay. What's your name?
Joe,
From?
from Clinton Township, but I shoot down here in Monroe County.
You've been hunting for 5 years. How does this year compare? Conditions, success?
It's the corn crop this year. We definitely had a larger, better corn crop, more beans, so the deer were just grazing and probably had a better production of meat this year.
Okay. Were they as active?
More active than usual.
Is that
Usually
right?
they shy away, and this one just came right out middle of the field at 7 o'clock this morning, and I took him with one shot, my first shot.
Outstanding. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That was terrific. Who else has one up here? Oh, you got this. This is a wide 8.
20 and a half inches.
20 and a half. Wow. That's Does anybody have that great big wide one down there?
I got this wide one.
You got, he's going to come up with a wide one so he can be on TV.
23.
It is 23 with
10
that
point.
Yeah.
Yep, counting that's 10.
Huh. That's how about the season for you?
It's been real good. I mean, this is the most year I've seen the most bucks.
Is that right?
I've seen in velvet 7 different bucks I got on videotape.
So all fall long you've seen them.
Oh, I've seen them all year long. This is the best.
Terrific. Who? Anybody have? 14-year-old got one right here. Which one? This one here, the 14-year-old. Look at the mass.
No, I got all.
Which one? Okay, we're going to get to yours. That's a wide one. Boy, that's a heavy rack. What is that, a 12?
On that side, though. 10. Would have been a 12.
Oh, that looks like it would maybe be a car accident or something.
Yeah.
I would think. So, your dad?
Yeah, this is my next one.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
And what?
It outdid me, but.
Yeah, but how many points is this?
That's a 10.
That's a 10. And you got this when?
Opening night. He got his opening morning.
Oh, is that something else? Is this your first year? Of course it is. You're 14.
Yep.
So you don't have anything to compare it with previous years. How about you?
He got one with a bow. We both got
This year?
a buck with a bow this year.
Well, you guys have had quite a successful season.
Been good.
How does this season stack up?
I've seen a lot of bucks, a lot of nice bucks this year. I think the last 2 years, a lot of corn and the bad weather. I think the bucks lived. I think they're bigger this year.
You saw a lot of them?
Yeah, I've seen a lot.
I want to see this one here. Oh, what's your name? Hold on, we got to get
Dave
that.
Howard.
Dave Howard and
Chad Heckler.
Chad. Okay, congratulations on that. Tell me about this one.
Oh, well.
What's the spread?
23 outside.
It looks even wider than that.
Yeah, it's such a nice looking rack.
Tremendous one. And the season for you? Sum it up.
That's first buck ever. I know you hate to hear that.
You have no perspective, man. You have no perspective. What a season was. First, he got his first buck ever. These are huge bucks. And John, you and I had our first day ever on opening day without seeing a deer.
Can only get better.
Yes. For us, yes. For you?
No,
I don't know.
I don't think there's no chance of that.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Oh, you got this one a few years ago. That's only a, whoa, that's
9.
Okay, 3 on that side, 6 on that side?
No, it's 5 and 4, I think. You can't see one time behind it.
That's
It's
a
got a
huge
split
buck.
sign over there. Yeah, this one was over 200 too. This one's 210.
And look at this one that you got. This is a
210. It's a, well, you count that, it's a 12.
A 12 point?
If you count that.
Yeah, that broken?
Yeah, it's got 2 broken tines.
Huh. So what's the story? You wanted to tell me the story.
Well, yeah, well, I used up all my vacation time on bow hunting, and I figured I could hunt an hour opening morning.
Mm-hmm.
So I went out and shot them. It was work on time. 8:30, I was to work, had them.
What? Now, you've gotten 2 huge bucks.
Yeah.
How does a guy do that?
Well, you just get out in the woods. You can't get them at home.
Oh, come on. You
gotta
schedule
get
an
out
hour
there.
for hunting,
No,
and then you
just
tell
get out
everybody to
there.
get out in the woods.
You got to get out there.
You got a special place.
I got a couple good spots.
Farm, country?
Yeah, farm. Swamp.
Hey, John, look over here. I have a rack here that wasn't taken this year by a hunter. Well, it was found by a hunter, eh?
Yeah, I found it this April out in the woods over in Metro Park there in Brighton.
You mean in the Huron-Clinton Metro Parks?
Yep.
Jeez, what a monster.
Get him scored out 173.
173, and of course that's your rack now. What's your name?
Tony Lee.
Well, Tony, hold it up there for the camera. Isn't very often we do this angle. What a rack, huh, John? Found it. Jeez. There we go, John. We're at the 14-point end of the buck pole here. In fact, we have a couple. What's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a 10, 12. I don't know. It's a massive one. But this is from this area, I think.
You can't see it.
And this one.
This one's from Mayo.
Oh, way
My
up
dad
north.
got her. He's 62, and he field dressed it and drug it out himself. Now he's out two-stepping.
Oh, yeah?
Yep. He's still got a kick in his heels.
I'll be darned.
He hunted for 40 years to get one just like this up
Well,
in
you know,
Mayo.
up in Mayo, that is a big buck for
That
up in
is.
northern lower Michigan.
Well, we took it up to the DNR there, and they told us that was the biggest buck they had taken out of Mayo so far.
But you know, that goes to show you, you compare the sizes here, the thick, heavy beamed racks from the corn-eating bucks in the south compared to what is a big buck up north. They're, feeding out in the cedar swamps. Yep. But that's amazing. So how'd the son do?
Sun didn't do too good. All I seen was does.
Were you hunting up north there with him?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So you come down here and hang it on the pole.
Why, certainly.
The biggest one up there, you could be a hero up there right now.
Yeah. Well, he had to come back in 2 steps, so.
Wait, what the heck?
Keep mama happy.
Can't keep a good man down.
Yep.